I like to do this thing on my channel where I swap diets with a non-vegan for a day and attempt to veganize their meals. Today, I'll be swapping diets with the lovely Jessica Jayne. Her channel is all about maintaining a healthy lifestyle, staying active regularly, and vlogging fun moments in her life. Jess and I sent each other meal plans to follow of what we would typically eat in a day. Let's see what her go-to breakfast is and how I can make it vegan.
Now, one of my go-to favorite breakfasts is avocado and poached eggs on sourdough bread with a little bit of bacon. I absolutely love it. Now, this is the meal that if I was to ever go vegan, I would really struggle to find a good alternative.
So this is gonna be my first time trying to make a tofu scramble. I'm praying it's gonna go well. I have no idea what it tastes. Well, I guess it's gonna taste like tofu, but I'm just hoping that I can really resemble eggs or scrambled eggs. I'm gonna be using the vegan cookbook for athletes. It's a very, very simple recipe. To make these vegan scrambled eggs, I will be using a recipe from this vegan cookbook for athletes. The recipe is extremely simple and requires very minimal ingredients and is done in literally 2 steps. First, you will need to dice half a red bell pepper along with half a white onion. Make sure you dice it up very finely to ensure all the ingredients mix well together without having any chunky bits. Pop your diced veggies into a pan and cook them in a bit of water until they soften. Meanwhile, get yourself some sexy bread. Any bread will do, but I picked up this really fluffy sourdough bread, which is literally making me drool just watching it whilst I'm editing this. I've said it so many times, but if bread wasn't vegan, I'm really not sure what I'd do with myself. I then spread 1 small avocado on top. Sadly, this wasn't the best avo, but you know, it got the job done. Lastly, you'll want to go back to your pan, grab your block of tofu, and just using your hands, you're going to want to break it up into pieces by basically squeezing it and crumbling it. Then add some salt and pepper along with around 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric and mix everything together. You'll then want to add your plant milk and stir all of that together and then let that cook for around 8 to 10 minutes. Basically until the tofu has absorbed most of the plant milk. Plate it up and you've got yourself a vegan version of scrambled eggs on toast with some avocado. I've never liked bacon even back when I ate meat, so I decided to leave that out, but if you do fancy bacon or some type of meat on top of your avo toast, there are so many meat alternatives these days that all you gotta do is just pop into a shop, choose something, and slap it on onto your avo toast. But again, I chose to go without that. So excited for this taste test, like beyond excited. Here we go. Wow. Okay, I gotta admit, it tastes nothing like eggs, but it has the same texture, and visually it looks the same, so mentally, my brain is thinking, I'm having eggs when I'm not. You can also add like egg seasoning. Maybe I'll try that one next time with egg seasoning. The pepper, the onion really helps with the flavor. With a little bit of salt and pepper, you really don't need much. And honestly, I'm sold. I'm definitely gonna make this a go-to, 100%.
One of my go-to favorite things is a caramel iced latte with soya milk from Starbucks.
So to Starbucks I went. I actually haven't been into a Starbucks for a very long time, but to be honest, it was 37 degrees that day and I don't have aircon at home, so it was the perfect excuse to go there. I got myself a tall caramel latte with soy milk, just as Jess said she does, and I also had a few cubes of this vegan chocolate with orange and almond bits. Oh wow, it is actually so unbelievably good. If you're into chocolate orange, you're going to love it. I don't even miss Terry's anymore, and that was my jam. Anyway, let's see what I thought about the caramel latte. It's good, but it's very sweet. I mean, it's good though. I would be lying if I said it wasn't good. It's just very sweet. I can't imagine it having it as like a breakfast go-to, but I can definitely see how for some people it works. But for me, I like more of the coffee taste, like the bitter, you know? But it's very nice as a dessert.
I absolutely love pasta. Like, it's one of my go-to meals. One of my favorite ones to make is like a tomatoey, creamy pasta. I tend to add a little bit of like Philadelphia into like my tomato pasta sometimes. I do like to add a bit of chicken into mine. So that's what you're gonna make for lunch.
I made sure to keep this creamy tomato pasta as simple as possible, but still make sure it tastes delicious and not boring. I started off by defrosting some vegan chicken pieces. I got mine at Metro, but depending on where you live, you can totally just explore what options you've got. I then got my water ready to boil for my spaghetti. Whilst the water is heating up, you'll want to get the sauce ready. Add some oil into a pan and heat it up, and then add some minced garlic to the oil and cook it for a couple of minutes. The amount of garlic you use completely depends on how much you love garlic. So naturally, I used an obscene amount. So I recently got gifted these knives from a brand called okay, I don't want to lie to you, I believe it's Nikano knives. They are the sharpest thing ever. I just decided to use them, so as I was about to wash this one, this bottom part of the knife, not even the actual knife, this little area right there cut me like really bad. So if you're looking for a nice sharp knife, I really highly recommend these. I'm afraid to use them now though, so I will stick to a small one. How to promote a good knife, it cut me. And on the same finger that cut me before, you can actually see the scar from my old cut right here from a different knife, but now I've got a new one next to it. Do you know what's bad is we don't even have plasters, and the only ones we have are foot plasters. So I've put on a foot plaster on my finger. But honestly, I think it's gonna do the job. It's a bit sticky though. It's really not my day. It's so hot. It's like 40 degrees. I'm sweating. We're gonna push through, we're gonna be positive, and we're gonna make a goddamn good pasta. Then add your tomato paste. I used this random one I had at home, but I later found out that it actually had sugar in it, so I don't recommend it because, you know, one, it's not the healthiest option, but also the sauce ended up being quite sweet. After you've heated up the tomato paste for a couple of minutes, you'll want to add some vegan yogurt to the sauce. You can also use vegan cream, but I only had yogurt and I used around 4 tablespoons of it. And what this does is just make it a much creamier consistency, and it also lightens the sauce up a bit. Add any seasoning you wish, such as salt and pepper, and now is the time to add any chili if you prefer things spicy. I added mine later only because someone who doesn't like spicy food was eating with me, but otherwise now is the time. Finally, add in your vegan chicken pieces and let the sauce simmer for a few minutes. I also added some Kalamata olives at the end, as those are my absolute favorite thing ever. Plate it up and ta-da! Super easy and fast. Wow, I'm really impressed with this. I love it. And it was literally the quickest thing that I've made and the easiest. And really cheap even, actually, to be honest, apart from the vegan meat, obviously, but you can do it without that. You don't need to add that. You can also do it with soy, you can add tofu, you can add whatever you want. You know, it doesn't need to be this vegan meat, but these chicken pieces actually really work. And because obviously Jess has chicken with hers, I really wanted to reenact the same vibe. Delicious.
I know myself, like sometimes I do get a little bit hungry between like breakfast and lunch because I tend to have my lunch a little bit later on. I love having a smoothie, just like packing it full with all the like berries, strawberries, and make some kind of smoothie. I feel like you'd be so good at that, so I'd love to see what you're gonna put in your smoothie.
Jess mentioned that she has her smoothie after her breakfast if she's still hungry, but I was extremely full, so I decided to have it later on after my workout in the afternoon. I like to keep my smoothie quite simple, especially if I'm having it in the afternoon, so that I still have space for dinner afterwards. I also like to have it after my workout to make sure I get my protein in. I went for a handful of frozen strawberries, which I normally hate so much, but in a smoothie, they work so well for some reason. Some oat milk and some vegan chocolate protein powder. I will also usually add some ice cubes to make it extra cold, as I've literally been melting these days from the severe heat. Blend all of that together and you've got yourself a smoothie / protein shake kind of vibe, and it's super yummy.
In the afternoon, I do get a little bit of a sweet tooth, I'm not gonna lie, like who doesn't? So sometimes I'll just have like a couple of squares of chocolate or like a chocolate muffin.
Okay, so this isn't exactly a muffin or a piece of chocolate or anything like that, but I did have a little bit of chocolate earlier, so now as a snack, I got this. If you watched my Eating Your Fear Foods video, you will already have seen this baby. Vegan chocolate croissant. Pain au chocolat. Oui. So I will be devouring this now as I'm editing. It's been in the fridge, so it's not as gooey, but I'm gonna let it get gooey and I'm eat it up.
Now for dinner, you're gonna be making a stir fry. It's also gonna include some soy sauce and some honey, because I love adding honey to my stir fries, and I just feel like that kind of vibe would be so nice if you could make it vegan. Now usually I obviously would have it with turkey mince, but I'd love to see what you can create with this.
Okay, but who doesn't love a good stir fry? I know I definitely do. Stir fries are some of my absolute favorite things to make. And it's one of those meals that you can literally make from leftovers you have in your fridge that you need to use up as soon as possible. Who's been there? Because I think we all have. I started off by rinsing my veggies and then peeling 2 carrots and slicing them into very thin, long strips. I did the same with a red bell pepper, and I also sliced 1 whole white onion in the same style. I also added some spring onion that I chopped up into small pieces, and of course some garlic, because no meal works without garlic. That's a fact. Put some water to boil for your noodles, and meanwhile add some oil to a pan and let it heat up. Whilst that's heating up, you'll want to chop up a block of tofu into very small cubes. Then add the tofu to a pan, add a little bit of soy sauce, and sprinkle it all over with around 2 to 3 tablespoons of sesame seeds. Mix it up all together and let it cook for a few minutes. Let's make the sauce. In a separate bowl, you'll need to add some rice vinegar, soy sauce, and sesame oil. If you want things spicy, then you can also add a spicy paste to the mixture. Mine is a super yummy Japanese yuzu paste that I bought at a market in Germany. It has a very distinctive taste. It's a bit fruity, but also very spicy, in a good way. By now, your tofu should be done, and you'll want to transfer it into a separate bowl and set it aside. In the same pan, you'll want to add some more oil, and it's time to cook up your veggies. Start with the garlic, then add the onion, and lastly, the rest of the veggies. Stir until they are all slightly softened, but just make sure you don't suck the life out of them. You still want to leave in some valuable nutrients. Whilst the veggies are cooking, you will want to cook your noodles. I use these purple yam noodles that only take around 3 to 4 minutes to cook, so it was a very fast process. Once they're done, you'll just want to sieve them and leave them to the side. Lastly, you can wash up some spinach and add that to the pan. It'll seem like a lot at first, but once it's heated, it will shrink a lot. Also, make sure to add the spring onion at the end as well. Stir in the sauce, add the tofu, and mix everything together. At the end, I like to add everything together in a larger bowl as it's much easier to stir. Make sure to combine everything together nicely, and then it's time to transfer it all to a bowl. Serve and enjoy. Let's do a little taste test. I feel like this is gonna be incredible. I mean, I've had it before, kind of different though. I've never used these yam noodles, so let's see. I really love experimenting with different noodles, and these yam noodles, top notch. I highly recommend trying these. I think it's a really good option or a really good alternative to regular spaghetti. I'm so overheating because it was very hot to make this, but it was so worth it.
And if you are still feeling hungry after this full day of eating, then I would have some ice cream for dessert.
So after that delicious stir fry, I had some of this vegan ice cream by Copamaga. It's for sure a go-to for me, and honestly, any chocolate flavored ice cream is good with me, but it has to be chocolate. That's my only request. I can't explain to you how good this is right now in this heat. Like, it is hitting the spot of all spots. There's a chance I may devour the entire thing this evening, and that's gonna be bad, but YOLO. Yes, I just YOLO'd.